So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to import a file. So I'm going to go to import. All I did was right click and import. And I'm going to go to my records folder. And this is where I keep all of my recorded video. Now, I know that the one I was using in my video should be 252, so I'm going to open that one. It'll say importing files, it's done, and sometimes you'll see a little thing come up down here in the bottom right corner that says conforming or converting. If it's converting or conforming your file down here, it will not let you do anything until that gets done. It's basically making the time coding, making sure it's getting the sequences correct, you know, and everything else that is needed to build your video project. So just for future reference, if you add a file and you try to drag it into the timeline and it doesn't work, check and see if it's doing something down here, because if it is, you have to wait for that to get done before you can do anything. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to take this file and I'm going to add it to the timeline. Now, as you can see, this is a recording from my PS2. If I click play, it'll play the video. And you'll also notice that there's this lot of black in this video. And that's because my TV tuner records at 720 by 480, but it also adds another black layer around that. It has, you know, 2 layers of black borders, but we're going to get rid of that layer, and I can drag and scrub. And you can see, like right here, this is where my TV tuner added the black, and then this is the black for the actual project. So this is the actual size of the video right here, and then this is the size of my project. So obviously, how do I get this small video to be as big as it was in my HD video? Well, there's a couple of solutions for that. One of my favorite ones is the cropping tool. If I can find it, it's under transform. And you're going to drag this on top of your video. Now you'll notice that in the effects window, I now have this crop function here. And if I click on it, it'll tell me, okay, you're trying to crop this item, and that's what I'm trying to do. Click the down arrow, it gives you more options. Now, I know for a fact that if I crop this out 7% all the way around, it'll get rid of this black border that my card adds. So you can do one of two things. You can either click it and change it manually, like so, or I can click and drag it, and it'll also crop it like so. But to save time, I'm just going to type all this in. Alright, so now you see there is no more horizontal border in there that I have to worry about. I don't like all this black that's back here at all. And as you can see from my video, I added those blue borders on the left and the right. And what I did was open Photoshop and created a new high definition image in Photoshop with the same dimensions as my video, which is 1280 by 720. Again, importing files. Now it's asking me which layers in my Photoshop file do I want to import. Those are the correct layers, so click on OK. And now I have my video background.psd file that I worked on. And as you can see here, it is the correct file. So to get this into the timeline, I just drop it in there. Now, if you notice, when I scrub back over here, there's my border, but over here it's not there. And so you're like, well, how do you extend this? How do you make this longer? You go to the end of the file till you get this icon, and then you click and you drag it, and it has an auto snap. So once I get close to it, it'll auto snap there, and that's it. It'll now be across the entire video. Now, you remember that layering concept that I was talking about? Well, the timeline also does the same thing. So in order to move this background image where it's not on top of my video feed, I need to move this to a different track. And as you can notice, you can slide these around very easily. So I'm going to slide this up a track, and now I can move this down a track, and I can slide this over, and now my video is on top of my background. But that still doesn't solve the problem that my video is, again, too small. So we're going to click it and drag it until it's about there, like so. And there we go. Alright, so my audio file has imported, and we're just going to, again, drag that into the audio track. And again, I'm going to clip it to the end of the video because it doesn't need to be any longer than that. There's one more thing that I need to do, and I need to take out this beginning part of the video that I don't like. So I'm going to get the line to about where I want it, which is there. I'm going to expand the second video, click the razor tool, and just line it up to as close as I can get it and cut it. Click it one time and go back to my selection tool. And now I have two separate video clips that I can move around. Now I know that at some point some of you were curious as how do you add two video clips right behind each other? Well, you import both of the clips and then you drag them both into the timeline. So to put them together, you just line them up, and when it plays, it'll play as one continuous track and nobody will know the difference. But for my purposes, I don't need this, so I'm just going to delete it. Click on it and click delete, and I'm going to slide this over to the front, and again I'm going to tidy up my work area. And now I have my video, and if I go back to the beginning, instead of seeing all that PlayStation stuff, now I have just the beginning of my video. So now there's one other thing that we need to do, and that's actually export the video, because we can't do anything until we export it. So we're going to save the project. Always make sure you save, and click export, and we're gonna do media. I could actually hit the scrub bar and scrub over the video and see that it looks pretty good. Alright, that's the source that's coming from this side over here, and if I click on the output, now I have these black bars on here again. And what has happened is the output settings of the video are set to 720 by 480. So the source is 1280 by 720, but the output's going to 720 by 480. So in order to conform to that standard, it had to add black bars around the video because there's nothing there. So in order to change that, we go here, click on H264, and it'll change the output to high definition, which is 1280 by 720 using AAC audio, which is what we want. The only other thing you would do is click on export, and it will then say that it's encoding. Now if you're wondering where this encodes to, it encodes to the same place that your original project file resides. So if you had called your project test video and you stuck it on your desktop, it would export this video to the desktop. So just know they don't really explain that to you either, so just know that that's what it is. I need to go into detail of a more specific area, then just leave me a comment on this video and I will do my best to elaborate on it. I know I kind of went fast through everything because I've tried to squeeze it into 10 minutes, but if you have any questions or anything that you're not sure of, then feel free to let me know.